Everybody, welcome to FME Talks Martial Chronicles. I'm your host, Datu Tim, and this is my co-host.
PG Taz here.
And here we are on the April 11th. So I'm going to address this right off the bat. There was a huge debacle. I don't know what happened. And hello, Mr. Wolf. I think he was waiting, trying to be the first one to say hello.
Right. Good deal,
Sam.
Sam.
From Ohio. So this one was weird. So allegedly the show showed at midnight last night. And then when I got up this morning, it said that we were supposed to air at 8:30 in the morning. So I don't know what happened. I'm going to take the heat on that one. My dyslexia must have been really kicking in hard. Hey there, Joe. There we go.
Hey, Joe.
I saw him a couple of weeks ago when we were in Salem, Massachusetts. He was up there.
Was he at Mike and Mays? Or
Yes, he was. And then Bill from Guam is saying hello.
Excellent. Hey.
Good. Yeah, we're going to... he wants to show you some things. When we're up there. So I'm just looking at a couple things, seeing if there's any... and then no, Jackie. Hey, I thought you'd be teaching class right now, Jackie.
Hey, Jackie, how you doing?
With the time zone difference, but there we go. Unless people took off, I'm shut down in the week. I was shut down this past week, and we did a tournament. The team did well.
Excellent.
Yeah, we almost everyone placed. Had some brand new players. Unfortunately, I mean, it's just a downside. You know, we don't have the numbers that we had before, so a lot of my kids were fighting up 2 to 3 years above their age group, and they really gave them hell. It was great, you know. So, nice. So we had options, you know, and Kevin is the admin on Mondays. There we go.
Nice.
So the kids did really well. They represented well, you know, and like I said, not everyone can win. It's just the way it is. But I got a bunch of people that did well. First-time competitors won, like Josh, who's been there before. He took 2 firsts and 2 seconds. All my kids fought. Not all of them did forms and weapons. That was the cool part.
Okay.
Like, all right. And then they were doing the punch kick sparring, and they all did that, and they all did really well in it. And some of them elected not to stick spar, which shocked me. But you know, it was the first tournament out, so it was cool. It was cool, but a lot of cool things came from that. And I'm looking forward to getting back in the swing of things.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, we've had that break. It's time. You know, the COVID Band-Aid needs to be ripped off.
Right.
But how have you been?
Pretty good. Super busy. I had fun with taxes this weekend, I think I told you. Oh, and tomorrow is a National Grilled Cheese Day, so that's very important.
National Grilled Cheese Day.
Evidently, yes.
Nice. And hello, Larry.
Hey, girl Larry. Other Jot is breaking tomorrow, Larry.
Oh, that's right, because you did about... So while Ty was in Buffalo for the immersion boot camp, the Monterey's boot camp, he filmed... How many Jots did you film?
3. One guest one, which already dropped last Tuesday.
Yeah, so they're all doing their thing there. That's all had some guest stars, and it was all cool, you know. And that's things what we're working on for the future. I haven't done any Modern Ace minutes. It's been a lot of good stuff's been happening, but I've had to put my time elsewhere.
Definitely.
And
and our friend Billy.
Billy, hey Billy, you got to take care of Terrell for us, right?
That's right, magandang umaga.
Yeah, because Terrell leaves Wednesday.
Should be pretty soon, yeah.
Oh,
Nice. I think he's saying you're getting long hair. Who knows? Maybe he has a bad monitor.
Actually, I'll have a... Well, I don't even know when I'll get my next haircut. Let's find out. Hey, my other co-host has just walked in. He's almost tall enough for you guys to see him on camera, but not quite. Oh, yeah, my haircut is the day before the symposium. So, or the FMA invasion.
Yep.
Which is next week's show. We're going to be talking about. We have the FMA invasion at the Martial Arts Symposium. Actually, it's not invasion. That event. So we've been going for years for the FMA Symposium up in Manchester, New Hampshire. Terry Dow's run it, and he has always done a very good job of having an FMA presence at this event. And hold on here, and boom. So next week's episode will feature members of this. So the invasion is Steve, Ty, Dean, Tim, and Mike and May Williams. We have a great FMA track there, and they've always given us center stage opportunities, which is wonderful. You know, and so next week, 8:30 p.m. Hopefully, all the members will be on the show. Don't know, but you know, I know Ty and I will be there. So there's 2 members of it. There's, you know, a third of it will be there.
There you go.
So,
and he's putting the finishing touches on the schedule. It looks really good.
Yeah, and it's not too late for people to sign up. I actually got a link on there. If anyone's interested, let me know. So let me get back to this. I had some comments here. Yes, Poe, I will take good care of them.
Excellent.
And it will be so cool.
That's right.
Oh, look at that. The birthday boy, Grandmaster Unil Lanada. Happy birthday, brother.
Maligayang kaarawan po, sir.
I didn't. I figured I'd wish him the happy birthday here on the show. Actually, I think we're just going to do the FMA talk. Actually, let's do. Yeah, we'll get rid of the modern East thing because this is not necessarily modern East today. We are going to use FMA as our barometer, or Filipino martial arts in general. But I don't want this to be specifically modern Arnis related. So let me see here. And Ty is rocking the jacket in the photo. Yes, he is. Yeah, you got the Filipino top. Okay. Have you talked to Bob about our photos? Because I still haven't sent anything back to him.
I did, but I haven't. I had one last question for him because I'm going to do 12 of them, and so I wanted to give him a little extra compensation for that. But yeah, I told him that I definitely want to do a bunch of them.
Okay, thank you, brother Pugai. Peace, Pugai. Oh, I just bought a whole bunch of backdrops.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So what I do, just an FYI, this is when you're doing graduation, something to think for everybody. This is the little business thing. So we're not going to have a tirade. The episode is my tirade. So let me give you a little business. Right now, we're going to flash into a FMA professionals thing. So if you have a dedicated building like I do and you're running a school, what we're doing is we've done student photos in the past of a photo each we'll do a 8x10. Person's name, some Filipino script, what they're teaching for, or testing for, and come join us on this date. So I take photos of them and stuff like that. And no, Mr. Hubbard will not be at the event this year. And then I post them all. I put all the photos up in frames, and now this year, by their frames will be their black belts that they're earning. So that's the prequel towards to the test. And then afterwards, I'll let them grab the pictures and the frames and take it all home afterwards. And you incorporate you incorporate all those fees into your testing fees and stuff like that too. So, it makes for a really nice presentation. Come watch Tye Botting test for his first degree pink belt.
There you go.
On May 21st. Whatever the case may be. So, let me see here. Have you done any events since I've talked to you last?
I don't think so. No. we've almost planned what to do with the fundraiser and pre-test.
Oh, very good.
That's second one's internal. So
any of you WMA members that are planning on attending the camp, we're doing a pre-test Sunday, May 1st, and we're doing a virtual for anyone. Each instructor is going to take care of their students in their locations, but I'm doing a virtual test. I'm going to have people be able to log in. The pre-test is going to cover the fundamentals that we don't always have time. A lot of times we have this misnomer that there is no punching and kicking in modern arnis. There's quite a bit of open hand combatives in there, but because Remy students were art within your art, they were cross trainers, so they work their primary system is where they work their punching and kicking and stuff of that nature. So most people don't do the open hand combatives of modern arnis. Doing an application of a Sinwali is, to me, a trick. It's a gimmick, but do you use modern arnis as a fighting system or a standalone training program? And because it was never pushed on the test, I think it just got overlooked. So this pre-test will cover angles of attack, all the punching and kicking, a bunch of the Sinwalis and the forms. Not that we won't do any of that on the test. It's just that we will make sure we cover it in the pre-test and still always be prepared to show everything you've got. So if you've been doing the immersion seminars and you're watching this and you haven't got the email and you want to watch it and log in, let me know. I'll send you a link. Okay, I think we're ready to go. How about you? Do you got anything you want to talk about before we start this thing up?
No, I'm good after mentioning the National Grilled Cheese Day.
Grilled Cheese Day. Well, let me talk about one seminar before we do this. PG Tye is going to be doing a seminar in the Fairfax, Virginia area. This is a fundraiser for all the black belt candidates coming up to Buffalo to test at the anniversary camp. So anyone in that area, please, by all means, talk to PG Tye. The proceeds are going to that fund to help out the students that need that extra help, to defer the cost, until we get to the point where we end up doing a full-blown camp down in the Virginia area as well. When we first started, we had camps everywhere, and it was the same people going to all the camps. I said, you know what, let's just keep it simple and keep it in one place. Now we are working on doing another Texas camp. I've been reached out already to see if I'd be willing to do one in October. I just don't know if I have the dates. I'm still waiting for a previous event to get back to me. I'll talk to some promoters, but we'll see what happens. So.
Nice.
All right, and then here we go. Wait for it. And there we go. And grilled cheese tomorrow. We'll bring bacon. With bacon. Okay, there you go. He's got his bacon. So this is the topic that Ty and I've talked about a whole bunch of times. Actually, this whole thing started really years ago when Rich Parson asked me once, Tim, what's it take to be a grandmaster? And I didn't know. He was asking me for a different reason. I thought he was asking, well, Tim, you use the title, and full disclaimer here, I use the term grandmaster. Now, I'm going to later in the show talk about how I use it and where I think all things go down to. But here's the first thing I will tell you with everything. Any and all titles that I have and I've used were never self-appointed. They were, when it comes to official titles of this nature, I was promoted by the late Grandmaster Ernesto Precis. He promoted me to Grandmaster. So this is not a self. I use a term architect, and we'll talk about that in the show. One of the questions I've been asked by Iron Tree is there established criteria? How come it's so different? We can talk about that as well.
Definitely.
So let's get into it. So Grandmaster. I think a lot of things roll down to it's lost in translation. Would you say that that's an accurate statement right there?
Sure. I can even think of the Chinese one where I'm used to, right? Si Tai Gong. That's that's essentially master, but it's great. It's a big or large or supreme or great master. That's all it is.
Hey, Terrell, how you doing? We were just talking about you, talking to Billy to make sure she takes good care of you while you're over there. Okay, so let's start off with a criteria. How's that sound? We got to start somewhere, and
Right.
I think we can, once we establish a criteria that we look for. And listen, everybody, first of all, subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit the notification button, and make sure you share this with your friends wherever you feel appropriate. Now that that's out of the way, here we go. What's this? What's Joe got in there?
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's just go with this. Ty and I, as always, gives everyone our opinion and the facts as we know it. It doesn't mean we are 100% right all the time. I would say 99% of the time. It doesn't mean that we don't change our minds either. There's been a bunch of things that I've talked about on the shows, and I've changed my position on things over time when people have brought good information to me in a nice, positive way. Hey, Frank, how you doing? So a lot of times we will, and at the end of the day, there's people we'll be talking about, not by name, that are using the term grandmaster that I don't even think they qualify as masters. That doesn't mean they're not my friends. It's just my opinion on things. When it comes to an election, I voted on principles and issues, not who is representing them. I don't fault someone for voting for someone. I know people who voted for Trump for jobs. I know people who voted for Biden for health care. And I don't fault either one. I mean, we didn't have a good candidate. So, third party. So, but the thing here is we are all allowed to have our own opinions. Ty and I, we agree pretty much on, I'd say 90% of the things. I don't think there's anything we disagree on. We just have a different perspective on things. And I'm like, well, how do you feel about this? What do you think about that? And a lot of times I don't even talk about certain things. I'm just curious what people have minds. I go, because I'm still trying to figure out my opinion on things. So with this topic, by no means am I trying to say what the criteria should be. I'm going to talk about what makes sense to me. Tim for president. Well, I always told people, here's my platform, Terrell. No more daylight savings time and get rid of that new math. Boom. Old math works fine. I don't think there's a problem with that one. I think we'd be all good. So let's start with, I'm going to throw one thing out, and then I'll have you throw something out. We'll see where it ends up. Wait a minute. Do we want to read what Joe said first?
It fits with some of the things that we've talked about, but I mean, sure, we're setting criteria.
Grandfather is where originally came from. So first criteria, how many generations of black belts that you have underneath you? Do you have kids? Are you the father? Do they have kids? Are you the grandfather? Simple. Wow. How many times have we said that?
Right, exactly.
Oh my God, Joe, get out of our mind. Holy cow. This is why we do a live show, because we get people from this, to chime in,
If you have students that are masters and they have students that are teachers, that might be one of the criteria.
Oh, here we go. Here's another one. My self-inflated title of Grandmaster are indulging themselves, self-included illusions of grandeur. Well, and we'll talk about that. Stop talking to me about that way, man. Bill, I thought we were friends. You gonna dog me like that?
There's a whole piece about hey, is it needed? What is it needed for? Who's it for? Even right. And I'm going to caveat one thing since we're setting things up. So remember, I'm not a grandmaster, right? I don't claim it. I don't have any of the qualifications. Maybe save one or two, but I don't claim it. It doesn't matter to me. My title here, PG, is is essentially headmaster or senior master, and it comes with a certain rank often in our organization. That was given to me, but it's not PG. I know some styles claim PG as grandmaster equivalent. I don't. When we don't, right?
No,
So
no,
just want to make that clear.
Well, let's put it this way too. Let's back up. Okay, so that's an established protocol. I was one of two people who earned to be acknowledged as a Punong Guru underneath Remy. Even though, but what he told me was, because we do know some people that say head of the system, which doesn't necessarily mean a
Right.
grandmaster.
Right.
Because I would argue whether Bruce Lee should have been a grandmaster or not. Edgar Salute,
sure, Joe, founder.
Yeah. So Edgar, Bruce Lee, Edgar Salute. There's two examples of talented people who people might refer to as GMs, but really they probably at that time didn't fit the bill, especially what we're going to talk about. I mean, they both died in their 30s. They weren't good yet. You don't. I mean, you know what I'm saying. I mean, they were amazing. How much better would they have been if they got in their 40s and 50s?
And their people and their people's people.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, it's a whole thing. Founder is different than GM. Then that's what we're going to talk about.
Definitely, Terrell. So, in my opinion, yes.
So, okay. So the Grandmaster, one of the things, Joe took it out of my mouth, but I mean, you need to have a tribe. So, okay, let's go this way. So let's back up. So what's one way to become a Grandmaster? All right, I'm going to tell you the easy way. I find Grandmasters are used to head organizations. Yep. So one way is inheriting the system, and someone is making you the Grandmaster. Now, I didn't inherit the system from Great Grandmaster Ernesto Praces. He promoted me to Grandmaster. But in this particular case, here is the GGM. I said, promoted me to 9th degree and Grandmaster with the intention of promoting me to 10th later. He promoted me, and when he promoted me, and this we talk about this, and this is relevant elsewhere, Tim, I can't promote you my brother's art, which means Remy's art was different than his, but I can promote you in mine. So Remy couldn't promote people in Combatant, and Ernesto couldn't promote people in Modern. Boom, done. Now, hey there, Mr. Parsons. And there we go. Our other main man.
Dean Branco.
Dean Branco, who will be on the show. Hey, Dean, are you going to be on the show next week with us for the FMA invasion? We'll wait for that. So now we're like 10, 15 minutes into this conversation. We still haven't gotten the first one out. So I think that the current Grandmaster, head of the system, names you as the successor, which doesn't necessarily mean you are that Grandmaster yet, because there's a couple different ways you can go up. Mm-hmm. One would be I name you as the successor, and the senior instructors will groom that person to take over. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, I'm going to name my son the Grandmaster, the successor. All right, but he's 30. I'm 80, not me, Tim. I'm just saying in general. I'm 80 or 90, and I got a bunch of 50, 60, and 70-year-old students that are going to groom him to take over that role, because the whole Marshall family agrees that this guy's got the skills, he's got the goods, and he should take over. Mm-hmm. And hello, Eric.
Hey, Eric.
So I think that would be one way. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that?
That's actually, I was going to, the other thing I was going to say is I'm, as people probably know, I'm kind of old school. So there's one. So this is kind of fits with that. Passing down from one specifically to another. Yes, definitely.
Okay. So let's talk about another criteria. So when Rich talked to me about this, and I said, well, first of all, one way is you're the inheritor. Okay. Another way, now here we go. Remy passed away, and you try to figure out the community gets behind one person to take over that role, which didn't happen. Remy had a will, and he didn't name anybody. He named 30 people to help share and build the art, which was never executed. Maybe from there they would have rallied behind one of us. But what happened, okay? In the case, let's say Parker's Kempo. Ed Parker passed away unexpectedly. The organization falls apart fairly quickly. Well, no, I want to say it falls apart. People start splitting off fairly quickly. And they do different organizations. And I'm going to continue before I bring Joe's in there.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have different organizations. So the question was never, are you going to stop if you're going to continue doing the art?
Mm-hmm.
It's whom you're going to do with. Now you've got multiple people starting their own organizations, and I can see where each organization has its own head. And theoretically, from there, we could say inside an organization, this person has that GM status, depending on how we get there. Let's see what he wrote. Example: founder of Kung Fu Style, on his deathbed bequeaths the style to his as a Grandmaster Joseph. Yep. So now,
so that second example, yours is sort of a fractured example of the first one.
Yep.
Modified by the fact that you'd have to, somebody has to be the head, right, of the fractured pieces.
Yeah. Do you think that not having a successor? Oh, hell yeah.
It's help spread or hurt?
Both, but ultimately hurt. So Remy died unexpectedly. Listen, Remy was diagnosed with cancer, with a brain tumor. He wasn't in a position, he passed away 10 months later. He wasn't in the position to do what needed to be done. Especially when I think about this, because people argued about the will that, oh, there was another will made up. No, there wasn't another will made up, because the first thing they're going to sit there and say is, I am of sound body and mind, and you're not. So any will that would have been made after he got diagnosed would have been thrown out in the court of law. I'm not saying that he couldn't have been in the right mindset to change things, but I know for a fact that people were whispering in his ears and causing trouble. I was one of the people who got a lot of shit. He gave me shit for trouble I was causing when I kept my mouth shut. And then when I got there, he was complaining that I didn't get there sooner, and people were telling me to stay away. I'll give Kenny Smith credit. Hello, guys, from the dirty up north. Okay. Parker did a similar format listing and board. Yep, wasn't implemented, right? Mm-hmm. So Kenny Smith told me I was told to stay away. He goes, and Kenny looked at me and he says, Tim, no one can stop you. I'm like, yeah, you're right, Kenny. No one can. And I went up there. I went there twice before he passed away. But the thing here was, I was hearing from multiple sources that Remy didn't want to see me. And then when Kevin Black, who was one of my black belts, he was Remy's attorney. You're like, Tim, why didn't you get here sooner? We were told you didn't want to see us. I left the room because the kids were a little out of hand because they were very young at the time. They were Ramia and Joseph were 5 and 7. I took them out of the room to be with Yvette, and Remy asked Kevin while I was gone, why did you wait so long? Well, Remy, we were told you didn't want to see us, and he was very upset. Offered to buy me another ticket to stay, and I'm like, no, I'll fly back up, and I did. But he, so I know there was a lot of shenanigans going on. I know people who walked up with him, flew up there with a new will for him to sign. So,
Wow.
Yeah, and that was nonsense. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So there was no way that Remy could have, in this case, could have done something. I think the cool thing how it did help for a while is Modern Anise blew up overnight. The first year Remy passed away, there was over 153 seminars in Modern Anise. There had never been that before.
Yep.
But the problem was most of these people didn't have the skills to do that. They got a bunch of one-offs and they just fell apart. And not to sound like a jerk, but I will. I was the only one that was I've been doing Modern Anise as a career since 1986. no one was doing modern arnis as a career. They
Mhm.
were doing it on the side. So of course, once it came time to have something of substance, they weren't going to have that because they were karate and taekwondo and jiu-jitsu and fill in the blank. So, I mean, and Ty, you saw that. I mean, what do you think about that?
Didn't see anybody totally devoted. No.
No. So of course, the thing here is like with Parker's Kempo. This is why it was such it was a sad time that we lost Remy, but it could have been an exciting time as well because usually when the founder passes away, it's a defining moment of the art.
Sure. Sometimes a renaissance.
And let me see here. Some have told me that they were promoted to Grandmaster because of the time they spent the art, and they have no black belts and no master. Yeah, well, are you talking about that in modern? Because if you're saying that's modern, that's bullshit. Well, I mean, that's whatever. So it could have been huge. It could have been a renaissance, as Ty said. But the problem was there was only one modernist school for it, and that was mine. There wasn't even a modernist school in the Philippines. I mean, do you know of any full-time FMA schools in the Philippines, Ty?
Full-time FMA schools. Can't say that I do.
I mean, besides the Dos Eparras headquarters, which I don't even know what kind of hours they put in there.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, but it doesn't mean they don't exist. I do know there's at least. I mean, there are several quite active folks, right? We know that.
Yes, we do. We do know there's a lot of people who are spreading the word, but it's different than as a full-time committed thing. I mean, I saw the integration of modernists into the schools and other martial arts in the early 70s.
Yep. The art within your art.
There we go. And unfortunately, people have to forget when it's the art within your art, it's within your art, which means your art is the primary focal point.
Right. That's the context within which it is fit.
Yeah, it's not a standalone. It's inside of something else.
Right.
So, okay. So hopefully we didn't go too much down the rabbit hole with Terrell on his question there. So we talked about you're the named successor by the Grandmaster.
Right.
So, okay. Now I didn't do this, but Modern East broke into multiple things. I started the World Modern. Actually, I had the World Modern Race Alliance 2 years before Remy was diagnosed because I knew something like this was going to happen. And unlike all the others, I didn't have a safety net to go back to, i.e., I didn't have karate, kung fu, taekwondo as a primary art. This is all I've been doing, and I couldn't go back somewhere because this is all I did. So I resigned from the organization when Remy made when the announcement came out that Remy resigned due to his health condition, and I started the World Modern Race Alliance. So I went up the ranks through the organization. The first one we didn't go up the ranks. We realigned the ranks because I have 7 black belt diplomas, actually 8 from Professor, but I got one issued twice because of he promoted me in Buffalo, which then we agreed that it would be probationary because I wanted to test for it, and then I tested for it, and then I got the same diploma later. Like, okay, whatever. But I got if we delete the duplicate of the same thing, I have 7 black belt diplomas from Remy.
7 levels, to be clear.
Right. You go black then first. So we got rid of that plain black and made that 7th degree. But I know people was going to give me shit, so we addressed it as if it was a promotion. And I had Bong Hernandez and Dr. G sign off on it. And then later we went up to 9th because I was done. I wasn't going to go through this every other time, go 8th and all this other stuff. And then eventually Ernesto promoted me to 9th in Cometan on top of what we had already done for the World Modern Race Alliance. But everything I did was inside the auspice of the organization and had no bearing on the. I mean, I quasi look at rank was frozen, but not. I don't look that whatever we did inside the organization has no bearing on the Modern East community because it's inside the organization. But I look at Modern East as 2 eras, the Remy era and then the post-Remy era. So, okay, what's this here? Hey, Grandmaster, Superstar, King of all Rattan here.
Hey, Renee.
Wait a minute. No, I'm the Rattan man. He's the ultimate stick jock, though. Okay. Oh, Makoto said he'd be on the show, by the way. He's a cool dude. We'll talk about that one later. So, so I saw that in other systems do the same thing. Internally, they have their own structure. But even still, I never use the word modern Arnis or Grandmaster as it applies to modern Arnis.
Mhm.
Let me tell you, this was a guy from a different martial art that made. Oh, okay, no problem. So, my GM specifically is in Kombatan. Now, I do wear a 10th degree black belt. I wear that for the organization. For Praesis Arnis, I am the architect of that program and the head of the organization. But I'm not going to have 3 or 4 Grandmaster titles, which we're beginning to see, which I think is even more ridiculous. But what do I know?
Well, then they'll have degrees of Grandmaster. 1st degree Grandmaster, 10th, 2nd degree Grandmaster,
Yeah.
3rd degree Grandmaster.
Well, I mean, listen, I think we have to. We'll talk about this, but if we're talking about rank, when we did the 10th, I was the 9th in Kombatan, a 6th in Modern. We combined the two together, and when everything said was done,
just skip that one.
I will skip that one. When everything was said and done, I combined the two and said, all right, we're going to be 10th for the organization and stuff like that. But based on what's being given out there, dude, I could probably pull off a 12th or 13th degree black belt based on what we're seeing these days.
So for anybody who's interested, that was just an ad somebody was spamming. So that's what I said. We're not deleting real people's contributors' comments. That's for sure. But actually that folds into, if it's okay, we'll just go straight there, which is what is it needed for? Who's it for? In my mind, I'll go ahead and start. To me, any of those advanced ranks are really to serve the style, the organization, and most importantly, the students. Does the person themselves get anything out of that? They shouldn't. If you need that to get something out of it, then I think your focus is kind of in the wrong place. But you can imagine the situations where, hey, somebody's got to be able to promote masters. Somebody's got to be able to guide the system. Somebody's got to make the decision. Somebody's got to be there to establish a path for students to strive to, right? So I think that's what it's for. Welcome any other ideas, but that's my starting point. So who's it needed for? It's needed for the style, the organization, the students, no particular order. But
okay, well, I think you nailed it right there. Hey, Craig, how you doing?
Craig, PG Craig.
Listen, I say this all the time. If I was just a backyard martial artist, I don't need any rank.
Right.
I mean, the thing here is, one of the questions, as I was talking to Rich about all this, he goes, let's talk about this. Well, I think first of all, you need to have multiple schools underneath you. If you're going to be a grand master, you should at least have been a master. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. Now, to me, I look at master and grandmaster kind of the same. But I've got an old school mentality like Ty does. I'll throw this out there. By my definition of a grandmaster, by my real definition and what I see, because I put Remy in that boat, for me, I don't fit that mold. I am not worthy of that title for my standard. But for the art, for it to grow forward, I have to take that role. And I go back to it. My GM title, I was promoted. I did not self-anoint. I didn't give myself PG. I didn't give myself Datu. I didn't give myself Grandmaster. Did I take the 10th degree black belt and put it all together when I put the systems together? Damn right I did, just like Remy did. And anyone who wants to line up at my door and test me, I'm out on seminars all the time. Look at my seminar listing, show up on my doorstep and see what goes on. Come in, take the seminar, attend it. You want to ask questions? Let's do that. You want to do some training? Let's train. You got a problem? You want to do something later? You want a little rattan therapy? We'll do that when no one else is around. But the thing here is this. I'm out there in the streets, in the trenches, doing what needs to be done to spread the art. I've taught in 26 states, 17 countries, and I've taken the countries that have never had the art before, the places that Remy never took it to. So I've contributed to the art the way he did. He did the heavy lifting. I'm just going to keep pushing the art forward. So by today's standards, I check all the boxes. By my personal standards, I still got growing to do.
Right. I get you. But actually, that reminds me, and that'll tie into Bill's comment here in a second. The idea that back to what maybe it was Terrell, I forget who. We've talked about it before. Teacher of teachers. Who's that going to be? That's one way to look at a master. Teacher of masters, not just better than, higher than, knows more than. Maybe that's grandmaster, maybe that's senior master. Doesn't really matter. But the point is, there's a few things that go into that. Can you teach masters? Can you promote them? Can you guide them? Do you have that long-term vision?
Mm-hmm.
And that can be from experience and or vision writ large, right? There's just a bunch of things there. And in fact, actually, so Bill's comment there, if you want to pull that first one up, in the art of Kombatan Judo Karate under Master Reston, any rank over a fifth was honorary and based on the time in the art. That was right. The degree is up to 5, or what you put into the art, or what you put into the art and what you give back is the 6th and above, right? That's one way to look at it. Our Kung Fu style, we actually 1 to 5th was tested, and after that it was not tested, and we reorganized. So part of that, somebody else alluded to, was marketing, right? In order to compete with this inflated stuff that's going around, you either have to adapt or die, or change it altogether, or ignore it. So each one of those has a cost. Some people reorganized, like my Kung Fu style, because that was the decision they made, and that's fine. But you have to know the context. So that's the other thing about, are there standards, right? Does a grandmaster in one style, is that equivalent to a grandmaster in another style? No, because the rank structure is internal to the style or the system or the organization. And even then there may be some variations, but it's only to the context at hand. Outside of that, nothing else.
Okay. So, and of course, Eric, as always, thanks for a little help there, patting our backs there. Do your work.
Go. I'm going to get a t-shirt made and charge.
And Alvin, here we go. I appreciate grandmasters that want to continue improving themselves and learning new things.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about that in a moment here. Yep. In college, a professor is a teacher of teachers and future teachers. Good. So, okay. So,
I was a professor.
I just recently went in my, I'm in MAIA, Martial Arts Industry Association. I went from, I went up the tiers of the levels. Now I'm in elite, which is $1,000 a month for being a member. Okay. I've noticed in 1 month that my rates have gone up. My gross has gone up 35% in 1 month.
Wow.
Because not necessarily because they're teaching me something new, as opposed to it's an accountability partner. So I was talking to one of the guys from from the tournament league this weekend, and he goes, "You know what? This is why I like putting a white belt on all the time." I go, I train. I put on my white belt when I joined the Kuntao and the Sikran organization. I showed up with a white top, red pants, and wearing a white belt. And my instructor says, "Tim, where's your black belt?" I go, "It's home." But you're a black belt. I go, "Not in these arts, I'm not. I'm a white belt." And listen, when it came to punching, I learned, I changed the way I did my blocks. I added one new kick to my repertoire. That was actually a variation of something I already did. It was a nomenclature change and learning a bunch of forms because of the quantity of material I already had coming to the table. I was already GM Datu Tim Hartman. I wasn't a white belt in martial arts. So to teach me something new, when I get lessons from people, I don't want to sound egotistical, but I've been doing this, and I've been doing martial arts generically since 1980, and modern race is a career since 1986. Okay. I've seen a lot, and I'm not one of those morons I'm sorry. I'm not one of those guys that just focus on the art and don't see anybody else. Okay. Ty, you've been around me. You've seen all the different people that I've exposed myself to. Not like this exposed. That's a different exposure.
Right. Those are different people.
That's Mardi Gras. But I mean, we've constantly put ourselves in white belt positions time and time again.
Absolutely.
because I want an accountability partner for my training. When I was talking to the guy this week, I was like, well, Tim, do you think I'm like, dude, it's working. But part of the reason is that there's someone to hold me accountable, just like being a teacher again. If I'm always the head instructor, I know when I'm supposed to be working out. Janice and I just got back. We had to take 2 weeks off because of a family member having some issues that she needed to help out with. But we stopped working out for 2.5 weeks.
Mhm.
Now we're back into it because we sacrifice for ourselves. But if there was a personal trainer showing up every day to be there, you're damn right we'd be there because he'd hold us accountable.
Right.
We would have to do it at 5 a.m. But hey, who needs sleep? I'll sleep when I die.
Well, you know me, I got a lot of sayings, and one of them is, if you're not learning, you're dying. But I have a student, or one of my students in classes comes to me, is a master level in Kung Fu, right? Kung Fu Silat guy. He comes to me and does Arnis. Why does he do that? So he can learn his own art better. That's the main thing. But it's an accountability thing. It's a contextual change thing, and he's learning. So I mean, yeah, I wholly subscribe to that.
Yeah, I've learned so much, and not necessarily about martial techniques. A lot of times someone has a better way of explaining it.
Yep.
And here's the one thing too, like I want everyone to understand, like when we're on the show, a lot of times people wonder why I choose the nomenclature and linguistics that I do, because we have different people viewing from around the world. I can speak a lot higher brow if I choose to, but knowing that sometimes things are lost in translation, I'm choosing a certain level of communication. I am straight, I am forward with things, but there's no misunderstanding. But then again, people still misunderstand or choose to misunderstand. So we got to make sure that we use words that most people get the point. Now, I know someone's going to hate some of the stuff I'm going to say, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. Oh, here we go. Sometimes a teacher, always a student. There we go. And he was part of the tournament group that were there. No, see, student continue. Okay, I will always stay a student and train to continue to grow. I can't master something that is bigger than myself, and I will continue to grow. Exactly.
Absolutely. That's a great. I was going to say he had a great way of putting that together. Yep.
I really appreciate that accountable aspect. Thank you. Okay. Hey, that's what we're here for, brother. All right. Breaking it down, Barney style. To get the point across. There we go.
Well, I mean, I'm going to make fun of something because he's a friend of ours and he uses this word a lot. Tuhon Jack will often enjoy other people's teaching because he learns how different people teach, and he learns from that. Doesn't mean he's stealing ideas, but he's synthesizing every time by watching. So he likes to take a look at pedagogy, right? If we're going to use fancy words.
Yeah.
But that's him dropping a word, not me. But
does Alex Omazu use that word all the time.
Mm-hmm. Listen, it's a good word.
You know what? For people who understand it.
Yep.
And like my biggest lesson I got when I was doing Bondo. So I do Bondo. I'm certified as a stick instructor, a master level stick instructor, but I'm not a black belt. I was a personal student of Dr. G, who's still doing fine, by the way. I was talking to his wife the other day. Got to get him on the phone and talk, or visit. So one of the things he told me was to take his lessons and make it ours, make it mine. And what I realized is one of the best things I heard from him, we were talking about the angles of attack and the footwork. And we talk about this all the time. And when you do the follow through striking, hit through, if you don't step properly, you will hit yourself or cut yourself. And I had someone say, well, Tim, if it's a blade, I understand what you're saying, but if it's a stick, I'll take my chance. I'm like, well, I had better teachers than you, evidently, or I learned the lesson that my teacher taught me, because Remy taught me the same thing.
Yep.
But what Dr. G said, why do you step that way? And I told him, body mechanics, all this stuff. They go, that's good. You know why I do it, Tim? No, tell me. Safety strikes or cuts, so I don't hit myself, or I minimize that chance. I'm like, oh my God, that is so much better. So I'm not stepping forward. For those who can't understand body mechanics, I'll say you're clearing the path of the weapon to travel.
Yep.
Boom. And I was also able to use that same nomenclature, that same terminology, for teaching locks and throws.
Well, and people, that shouldn't bother people at all. It's a great anchor point, but we use that all the time in martial arts training. There's a lot of things you learn in basics that you don't understand that actually, when you do them later on, are not quite the same thing, even though to the untrained eye they look the same, right? There's a lot of things like that that use starting points, and you have to do that.
Yeah. So, let me see here. So,
I got another one.
Okay, shoot.
For master or grandmaster. This one, we have an example from a friend of ours, right? So if other masters call you a master and it's consistent and they respect you as that, it's not a promotion, but it's certainly a recognition.
And I hate
acknowledgement. I know. Yep.
I hate acknowledgement.
I know, but you can see the thought process behind it, especially if you tick some other boxes, okay, right?
So let me give you the backstory on acknowledgments. There's somebody in our industry that talks about, oh, I acknowledge so and so. I didn't promote them. What's the difference? Right. It's almost the same thing, you know.
Right,
so
right.
But I understand what you're talking about, and
well, it's the respect. If all the grandmasters respect you as grandmaster, you kind of have your answer.
Well, and we'll talk about that. So, want to stay on topic, but I have to teach. Be gone, Grandmaster Joe.
Be good, GM Joe.
Or be good. Oh, be good. Okay, you know that's. I need to do readers again.
Well, your eyes are not grandmasters.
No.
Maybe they're great grandmasters.
They're great grandmasters. No. So here's the thing. So, Punong Ted Botting was the guy that taught for Anshan Bakan when he wasn't in the club. He was the heir. He was supposed to be the heir. Simple as that. He was supposed to take over Balintawak, but he moved. And and it doesn't matter if he was the guy or not, but the fact of the matter here is, we know who. Well, let's see. Anshan wanted him to take over, but he was an engineer and he had to provide for his family. Most knowledgeable guy on the art that Anshan taught, not the modified version that we see currently these days. It was the original ungrouped system. But he didn't try to spread the art. He had a small group, kept it the way it was. Probably the person who's had the most impact on the art since then would be, in my opinion, Bobby Tabuada.
Certainly in recent decade.
Okay. Catch you later, Terrell. It doesn't mean... It doesn't take away from anyone. He's the one that's been doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
So, but all of the Balintawak guys, and this is where we go, all respected Ted as being the Grandmaster.
Mm-hmm.
Or a Grandmaster, let's put it that. Maybe not the, but they never questioned Ted Botting. A lot of people get Ted and Sam mixed up. They're not the same person. So, but with everything said and done, the community acknowledged him as the Grandmaster. And that's the same thing, like I said, with the master and stuff like that. So, I got a message over here kind of threw me off. I'm sorry. If I'm not being as articulate as I normally am, I got distracted. Okay. Let me see here. So we talked about you're the designated heir. You talk about having an organization. Mm-hmm. Moving up. We're talking about the community acknowledgement, which we said before. If the community acknowledges you, that would be one of the ways. Mm-hmm. So I think some of the criteria
those are all similar if you think about it.
Yeah. So here's one of the things. If you just have one school, this is the thing that annoys me. I see this in so many arts, non-Filipino arts. You got all these grandmasters out there, and all they have is one school. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe it's me, but I don't think you are a grandmaster if you don't have satellite programs. If you are the only program, So Tim Hartman has Horizon Martial Arts. If I didn't have people working with me underneath me in Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Colorado, multiple parts of Canada, Florida, Atlanta, multiple places over in Europe. If I didn't have that kind of stuff, why would I need to be a grandmaster?
I was going to say that goes to that, right? So there's one way to do it, right? Say you only have your one location, you teach out of that one all the time. Eventually, you produce masters. Guess what? They go away. They have their own schools,
And
but that's
fine.
still part of the structure, right?
And they're a satellite program.
But if you had produced masters and they didn't go anywhere, why would they need to be masters?
How you doing, Haiti?
Right? Does that make sense? So it goes both ways, right? You could have your own school and it doesn't amount to much. And again, whether it's because people don't leave and start other satellite programs under themselves through you, or because they're just staying there, I mean, that kind of limits at you as well, right? Again, why would you need to be a grandmaster of one single school and that's all that it spreads out as?
If you are only a backyard training group, there's no need for any kind of rank, titles, or whatnot.
Yep.
Now, if the local community wanted to acknowledge you, by all means. I've got a guy, Hiroki Kimura, who teaches out of my club, Goshin Kempo. He used to be a Shorinji Kempo guy. If there's anyone that has a lot of the, to me, he's easily, he could probably, he checks a lot of boxes to be a grandmaster. And if I knew half of what he knew, but I'm the grandmaster and he isn't. So
of your different arts and organizations too. So there's that too.
So me acknowledging him as a grandman, looking to him as I go, well, I'm GM Tim. And this is someone who I look as a mentor and senior to me. Right. So, I mean, I'd have no problem with someone calling him grandmaster. And if I ever did that to him in front, hey, Grandmaster Kimura, but I mean, that's different. It's, we're not trying to,
right.
So what I look at is, well, if you're going to be a master, let's start from the ground up. Well, first of all, you got to produce students. If you cannot produce a black belt or the equivalent thereof, there's no way in hell you should be a master.
Well, especially in some styles, right? It's a longer title, which is master instructor. What are you a master instructor of if you're not producing qualified, capable, working instructors?
And I think, well, here we go. Okay. Could you master the system and not be a teacher? Yes.
You get a lot out of about teaching, but I think yes, in principle, yes.
Yes. But could you? Okay, so, but I think so. We're on a slippery slope here because you could sit there and say this person has mastered the system, but doesn't know or can't or never attempted to teach.
Right. Well, that's one of the reasons I like master instructor as a title as opposed to master.
So I can see promoting someone to a master of the art, but a master instructor, like you said, there's because we have the term guru, and we go to Punong Guro, which is the equivalent of master, which means you still have to. So really, Punong Guro had instructor. You still need to be a teacher.
Yep. And quite literally head instructor.
There you go.
Yep.
So there you go. Now, if you have not produced a black belt or the equivalent thereof, how the hell do you think you can be a grandmaster? If you're and this is my opinion. If you're only got one school, there's no need, and you don't have satellite students. Okay, because you can sit there, well, we go back to what it's like. Ed Buat had satellite students. He had students that had their own programs and schools and stuff underneath it.
Yep. Yeah. Where's our friend from Michigan?
I don't know. Where's Rich? So, he had and that's one of the things we actually talked about. We had a bunch of master level students underneath him. Not in Balintawak, but masters were training with him.
Right. Well, that's a kind of a combination of being recognized and.
Oh, there's Rich. He says hello.
Hey, Rich. That's a combination of being recognized and producing, right? So it's a yeah. Who are masters going to go train with?
You are my two favorites in the field. I love you guys. Hope you've been well.
Hey, Montel's been way too long, sir.
I think he's been talking to the wrong people.
He must have been, or he's forgotten. It's been so long.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
There you go.
So
he's a quite skilled guy himself. People should keep an eye on that name.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I think, I'm not trying to, this is where it gets a little preachy, I mean, one of the people we'd love to have on here is Chris Chu is working something similar to this. And this is what helped actually push us over the level to do this show. Unfortunately, Chris couldn't make the show. Right. He's up at 5 a.m. working, and we're just up way too late. Otherwise Chris would have been part of it. He's actually doing a YouTube project that's asking people 3 questions: what you think of the criteria for being a grandmaster, and it's got some interesting answers by some people.
Definitely.
Listen, here you go. I mean, you need to have your tribe.
There you go.
So I'm looking at this. We both have martial art grandchildren out there.
Mm-hmm.
So can you produce a black belt or an instructor? Yes. Can they do the same? And if the answer is, there we go. That if you can produce black belts and instructors, that gets you in that ballpark for master. If their students are doing the same for you, then that puts you in that ballpark for master to grandmaster.
Right. Well, it kind of goes along the line of grandfather too. Who do you have to take care of? Do you have people to take care of? And I will say that I actually ran afoul from that the other direction, right? Remy promoted me, and I never did anything after that for a long time, but I couldn't take care of my people, right? I didn't seek anything out, but then when I was able to take care of people, I saw the value of it from the other direction. It didn't even occur to me because I wasn't after rank. But you got to take care of your people. So if you're the patriarch, and I'm not saying that's the case because this is at the master level, not the grandmaster level, you got to have the wherewithal to take care of people. And that means a lot of different things, including, unfortunately, weird things like paths and titles and structure and all that good stuff. Opportunities.
I've talked about this with people that they needed to take rank and title because they weren't able to take care of their students.
Yep.
And this is important when it comes to spreading the art.
Absolutely.
But if you're not spreading the art, you're just placating your ego.
Then it doesn't matter.
No one gives a damn.
And that's okay too. I do the Bushi no Te thing, right? Mm-hmm. The guy that runs that goes by sensei. However, there are hanshis and all sorts of advanced people that are recognize him at the highest levels, but he's not about that. And he doesn't need to be because it's not that kind of organization.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things out there, and I think to me let's talk about the other work. Okay, so we said, all right, we're going to keep repeating the whole show.
Yeah, we got to click through the methods. Yes.
The grandmaster made you the successor.
Yep.
Check.
Easy peasy.
Grandmaster passed away. You're head of an organization, and you need to take care of your members, and you take that role. Mm-hmm. People in the community look up to you as the grandmaster. Kind of the same kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Just different direction.
Yep. And the last one is you're not only producing students, but their students are producing students. So you've got all these satellite programs moving you up, so you have to go up along with to help lead and spread the art. Right.
There's a structural need on top of that, that production chain.
Okay. All right. So that does a lot right there.
I think that covers a lot. But then there's the question of, hey, can you have more than one? you and I think, are both old school. There was only one, so that's what we're used to, and that's what makes sense to us.
Well, let's talk about the things we didn't talk about.
All right.
Okay, so one of the things I said earlier in the show, by my initial standard of Grandmaster, the way I look at it, Tim Hartman looking up at Remy Pracis and others of that, Remy, Ernesto, and people of that nature, I don't feel that I fulfill what I envision as a Grandmaster.
Right.
But I took that as the need for the art to grow. Because I didn't, when I was promoted to it, I accepted it because it was something that needed to be done for the art and the organization.
Right.
I would venture to guess that a lot of people that legitimately got Grandmaster and actually should be, probably on their own viewpoint, right? Because your viewpoint changes over time, didn't really think they were worthy. Because as you get better, you know where your faults are, you know where your holes are, you know what you can always learn, and that's a good thing. You should always remember. However, from the outside, what does that really mean?
Well, I look at this. I don't think that I've arrived. I look at saying that, oh my goodness, now I've got a big set of shoes that I got to fill.
That's true.
And
when I was third level for so long, for 15 years or so, that was pretty comfortable. No pressure.
But now let's look at the things that I have done that would help. So things that we didn't talk about that help fill in those blanks.
Mm-hmm.
And I said it earlier. I've done over 1,000 seminars.
Mm-hmm.
I've taught in 26 states, 17 countries, and brought Modern East to countries that have never seen it before. Barbados. I did the first FMA seminar ever in Iceland,
right.
Venezuela, and Chile. I brought Modern East to. And someone tried to say, oh, I had one of my students down there. And then they were doing mission work. I go, did they do seminars? And then the conversation changed magically. And when we're talking about Modern Anise, I'm talking Remy Pracis Modern Anise, not a derivative. We're talking the primary art carrying Remy's banner. So those things made me change a whole bunch of stuff. I've been a staple for Filipino martial arts at a lot of events like Bruce Nutnick's Gathering, Terry Dow's Martial Arts Symposium, and other things where I am a regular, one of the go-to representatives or ambassadors for Filipino martial arts, as well as trying to promote all FMA, not just Modern Arnis. Came up with FMA Talk, the discussion. Well, actually, we started with Martial Talk with Bob Hubbard. We spun off FMA Talk, those two bulletin board groups. And now we're doing the latest. And then we had the FMA Talk live podcast that two of my friends were involved with. And Mark and Federico and myself. Mm-hmm. And then now we're doing the blogging. And we bring people who are not aligned with me onto the show to help promote the arts as a whole. So, these are things that I've done. And I'm not saying just me, but these are the types of things you would look at. So when we see these people and they're going, like I said, right now, I'm not trying to make it a Modern East thing, but we talk about all the stuff with Modern East. When people are getting promoted in Modern East, what are they doing for the art? And writing books or doing videos, which I do a lot of videos. Okay, so and you do a lot of videos. So when we say this, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about us just as much as them.
Sure.
That's not the work we do. We're out there doing how many seminars did you do this past year so far? Or you have scheduled this year?
The schedule this year, about 20-ish.
20 seminars. And in addition to that, you're doing your jots and shows and stuff like that.
Right.
So, and I'm doing probably about the same. and plus the videos and all this other stuff. So I don't mind. I'm not saying books and videos are not bad. I'm not saying they're a bad thing. What I'm saying is it should be a supplemental thing, not a primary thing. Because at the end of the day, no one's going to read a book, one that's gone. No one's going to, even instructional video, you're still missing something. You
Right.
still need that hands-on training.
I would say, even if because I'm biased, I would say especially for this stuff that we do, because I know I learned a lot just with the hands-on from Remy, feeling.
I mean, look how much stuff that we came up with while you were in town for that week.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, the virtual is visual learning is a great supplement, but not substitute for hands-on.
Right.
And I think we should have embraced Zoom and Skype and Facebook Messenger and all these other things long time ago. Thought we're behind the curve. Now it's the other end of the spectrum. Now it's time to start getting back into physical training.
Yep. Don't mind me. There's screechy speakers. Hopefully, it's just my speakers.
Okay. So, but the thing here is, it's time to, now we got to get back in the physical stuff, but when I see these things, once again, I'm not trying to belittle the contributions that other people make, but what the problem with the written word is, it doesn't mean that the person writing it actually got the right message across. And who says that the recipient actually read it right?
They usually don't, in my experience.
And then when we talk, just talking, I'll tell people, say, well, you're saying this? No, what I'm saying is that. Well, it sounds like you're saying this. I go, well, your mind's going there. I'm saying this. Okay, whatever. All right.
Right. Actually, well, my job, it proves that people don't read it right most of the times.
Yeah. Yeah.
In all sorts of ways, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And Bill says something here.
You can learn. Okay, you can learn the motions, but you can't feel the sensitivity, the mechanics of the art that you learn on the video. Yep.
Yep.
So,
if you have a bunch of training, you can see a lot with your eyes. Still not the same as touching.
So Remy liked using me a lot.
Yep.
As a demo partner, and you've seen a lot of that stuff when that's happened.
It makes me laugh.
What?
It makes me laugh. Yeah.
It made me cry.
Right.
I was crying my eyes out. You just didn't see it.
I remember myself too.
So the thing here is this. Sometimes I didn't see the material, but I could figure out based on how it felt. Or more importantly, if I was working with someone and say, hey, Tim, is this right? Here, do it to me. No, now you got it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, like, hey, what did he do to you? I don't know. You had a better view. I just got the feeling.
Yep. Absolutely.
What we got here? Mr. Patrick. Oh, my goodness. Haven't talked to you, Mr. Robinson, in a long time. Good seeing you keeping healthy. Well, I don't know about healthy, but I'm above ground. Patrick used to be a longtime student, one of Jason Arnold's black belts in Kempo.
Oh, nice.
He is a very colorful personality. No
Perfect.
pun intended there. When you talk about someone who grabs life by the tail and lives it every moment of it, he's that kind of guy.
All right.
Yeah, no, I liked him a lot. All right. So we did that list again.
Right.
I guess.
And did we cover enough of the, is it needed?
Okay, so where would it be needed? How's that?
There you go.
LOL, colorful. Chocolate brown, mister.
Nice.
I don't mean that kind of colorful. Pat has a full contact sense of humor.
Perfect.
And personality.
Perfect.
He fits right in with us.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And he's got a Gene Simmons tongue, which he shows when we're doing group photos all the time.
That's creepy.
Yeah. Well. That's what I was talking about, Pat.
And Bill from Guam said Payne is a heck of a teacher. Definitely.
Yes, it is. So let's think about this. Is there a need? Or let's see, where would there be a need? So you create your own. Okay. So here's what I like what the Europeans do. Rank and title are two different things.
Mhm.
They've got what? So when I was in Denmark, they had people who created their own system. I'm like, really? Okay, well, tell me what it is. Well, I've got Taekwondo complete combined with Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, so how does that work? Well, I went to the board. You know what? There's a martial art association board. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So what happens? They show the thing and you go here to this, and they acknowledge it as a system. And the rank he has is whichever system is the highest rank. So let's say he was a 5th degree in jiu-jitsu and a 6th in taekwondo. He would have a 6th degree in this hybrid art.
Okay.
And he was and I think that's why I like the word the architect of the system. They didn't use it, but this is the way I look at it. He designed the system as the architect, but he wasn't a grandmaster. He was just the head of the system of the program.
Mm-hmm.
I see that. I think a lot of people just get. I see if more people took that approach, there'd be less pushback. You got all these guys that I'm grandmaster. Why? Because I'm the head of the system. It's not. I don't look at that being the same.
Right.
Because, okay, you're
worse than that. It makes modification. Slight modifications proliferate all over the place for no reason.
Well, I mean, I look at this as like I've got my programs. One of my students, well, you created your own program. Doesn't that make you a grandmaster? I go, no, because I put my own curriculum together based on the teachings of the people around me, and most of it was Remy's. Just because I wrote a curriculum doesn't make me a grandmaster.
Right.
My curriculum is my training regiment,
right.
and that I could replicate.
Right.
So I go, hey, Ty, can you give me a workout and you write it down for me? Are you now the grandmaster of that workout program?
Well, if that were true, I would have been a grandmaster since the 90s, because that's what I did for my Kung Fu students. I made a whole curriculum, and it was quite involved, and it had a lot of extra stuff.
Was that curriculum or workouts?
That was curriculum.
I'm talking about going to the gym.
I see. Yeah.
I go, hey, Ty, can you give me a workout for the gym here and you write it up for me? I mean, you just, I look at it like that. I was like, okay, now.
Right. It's a trainer thing.
Works for me. Someone else goes, Tim, what do you use? I go, I use this method right here. I don't look at the person who created P90X as a grandmaster. I mean, I know Billy Blanks is wearing a grandmaster belt, but I don't know if I'd go there. And I like Billy Blanks, but I don't know what he's got. I mean, if he's got satellite programs and under all this criteria, right. But you know what? Here's the cool thing. Let's say he doesn't have that. And I like Billy Blanks. I do, I've been around him a bunch of times. We're not buds. We're not buds. We are not buds. But every time I've been around him, he's been a really cool guy. I don't know if he checks all the boxes. That doesn't change the way I look at him.
Sure.
He was a hell of a fighter back in the day, and he came up with a great fitness program that helped save our industry at one time.
Well, that actually points out a thing to me, grandmasters, right? So a grandmaster thing is not a personal thing, right? And that said, you got to remember that grandmasters are people too. We have friends that are grandmasters that may be intimidating to other people, but they're just people.
It's funny because I'm like, everyone's always sir this, sir that, sir this, sir that.
Right.
And we're around Grandmaster Ron Van Browning. Hey, Ron, how you doing? Hey, Tim, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And Terrell talks about it. He's come up and give us hugs. Yep. Like, well, that's Tim. I'm like, that's Tim. Do either of you believe that titles are really important in today's martial art landscape? For promoting the art, yes. Billy Blanks had a Taekwondo Golden Mass, and I don't remember when he was in Crane. Yep, he was also down from Erie, PA. So I have friends that were students of his, and I used to bump into those guys all the time. So let's just. Okay, so let's go with this. Okay, I am Datu Tim Hartman, the last Datu from Remy Pracis. I've traveled all these places, yada 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 yada. Ty, you tell me how many times, if you've heard this more than 5 times at an event, Everyone introduce himself. I stand up. Hi, my name's Tim Hartman. I'm from Buffalo, New York. I do Filipino martial arts.
Yep.
How many times do you think you've heard me say that?
Scores.
Scores. Okay.
Yep.
And no, not the dance club, if you
Right,
listen
right,
to Howard Stern. Dozens of times.
Right.
Okay. Oh, Datu Tim, Grandmaster Tim. I go, you can call me Tim.
Mm-hmm.
And at the last time I taught at your event, what was my listing?
You were listed specifically as Tim Hartman.
Everyone had titles. Well, actually, I tried to go the Mighty Wizard Tim afterwards.
That's true. I did nip that in the bud. I nipped that in the bud.
He stopped it. Well, we didn't want anyone thinking about a clan thing or anything. So, but I mean,
That's true.
But it wasn't Grand Wizard,
right?
And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look up Monty Python Holy Grail, the Mighty Wizard Tim. So I think titles are important to set up well, first of all, I don't think titles just to have them mean anything.
I think they help set up a path and a support system. But remember what I said before, to me, what's it for? It's the organization, it's the style, it's the students. That's what the titles are for.
But I think ultimately you need to make sure that, okay, so
it's for standards too.
So Remy one day, okay, I remember the late David Hoffman showed up at an event and he had his black belt with 5 stripes on each end because he's a 5th degree black belt. And Remy goes, oh my God, look at Dave. He thinks he is, he's 10th degree with fire on each side. Like, Remy, that's not how it works. It's 5th degree. They put him on both sides. Karate guys, really? Because I guess in the Philippines, when he was doing his karate, they just wore a black belt.
Yep.
Oh, so then years later, he goes to me, Tim, you should wear stripes on your belt. And I look at him, I go, where are yours? Shut up, Tim. But now I understand the value of that.
Yep.
Here's the thing. When you see all the belts, so for those, okay, here's another edition of FMA Professionals. If you've got a dedicated school and you have a belt tree on the wall, if it ends at black belt, people think then they've graduated and it's done.
And they're out of there.
But if you have a second tree or plaque and it goes 1st through 10th, then they'll see there's things above. If people in the club are wearing multiple striped black belts, they'll realize it's just the new beginning. To me, a black belt is an advanced white belt. Why do we do the titles? So it's that whole infrastructure. We've gotten a little too lax in some ways and too uptight in others.
And to put it in another perspective, there is a psychological. We're dealing with people here. There is a psychological aspect of providing people things that they need or that would suit them and they can work with, and that's part of that. I'm not saying it's the only purpose, but that there is a human aspect to everything. We're humans.
I mean, why bother promoting people
at all, right? Well, in the old days, right, in Kung Fu, it was how many years, you didn't even have anything. It was just you trained. You were either a student or teacher, and you trained. And sometimes it swapped depending on what was going on. And you might do decades, scores of years for that.
Okay, then again, they have titles.
Champion of the world.
There we go.
Number 1 super champion of the universe.
Number 1 contender.
There you go.
See, there you go. Now you can flip it around. Listen, we can't live and die by the titles.
Nope. And they don't transfer among styles. We talked about that too. Styles and organizations, right? So that does get messy.
Yeah.
But we all know that black belt in one style doesn't match black belt in the other, and that's okay.
Yeah.
What does Bill say again? You want me to read it because it's long?
Go for it.
Bill, in the 70s, that's how it was. No ribbons or tape on the belt. Yep. The only difference was when they wore the belts from 7th to 9th Dan, which were Japanese colors of rank designation. Yeah, I remember that as well. We're all a bunch of old folks here.
Yeah. I look at myself as a crossover. There's old school, there's new school. I've been the benefit of watching that crossover period.
Oh, that was in the Philippines. Oh, okay.
Okay, all right.
Yep. Nice.
Yep. So, is there a need, if used properly, But here's the problem. It seems that everyone is becoming a grandmaster, and it
It's a-
dilutes it. I mean, okay. So
It's an
now,
Oprah show.
okay. So like I said, this show is going to be my what did I say? This
Rant.
show is my rant.
Okay.
Okay.
But when people open this video, right, they're automatically a grandmaster, right? You get a grandmaster, you get a grandmaster, you get a grandmaster.
Oh yeah. Once you watch the episode, you are now a grandmaster.
There you go.
So, and here's the thing I always say: you don't like the show, you can always turn it off. I don't rant and rave like this. I don't talk about this stuff. I'm not on my soapbox in seminars
Not
because
in a captive audience. Yeah, it's not fair. It's not responsible.
no, it's irresponsible. It is abusive.
Yep.
And and I don't want people saying that. Well, yeah, I've seen it too many times. When that happens, hey Tim, I'm having so and so up again. Oh, I'm sorry, schedule conflict.
Yep.
And sometimes I've said, no, the guy's a douchebag, and I don't want to see him again.
Right.
I think he was disrespectful for what he did the last time to everybody there, and I don't want to be part of it.
Right. No, it's not the venue for preaching.
Yeah, there we go. I'm old school with a new school mindset.
There you go.
So, now this wasn't, we didn't do the show for Modern East, but here we go. Here's my rant. We got all these people getting promoted to Grandmaster who I have one school, no satellite programs, and have done very little for the art. Got an issue with that. I got people who were promoted, claimed to be Grandmaster equivalents without ever producing a black belt of their own. Got a problem with that. All right. Who was the heir apparent? Well, I've always been very upfront about that. I was the only one doing this as a career. It would make it's a no-brainer. We could have had my school as a national training center and teach everyone how to do this as a standalone program so they could convert their schools over to do the same thing. Would have been an easy one. And how many times have you been in my club?
I can't even count.
Yeah. And you see the benefits that we talk about and how we talk about not only the martial arts, but the business structure as well.
Well, actually, I'm even talking to you about that now. I don't see anything, so I'm quitting.
Okay. See you later. Bye.
Sarcasm, everybody. No, I would not be here if I was not happy with those aspects.
So there's things that we need to be doing. And when I see people just, everyone's becoming a grandmaster, I go, listen, we already talked about this. And, here we go. One of the biggest fines for us was we pulled out multiple copies of Remy's book.
Oh, right. Yes.
And in the book, if you read it, you got to remember that when you read the U.S. edition, it was 25 years later, which ended up being the 50-year mark.
Yep.
And Remy talked about that he was the grandmaster because he had, well, at the time, it would have been 50 years of training in the art, and no one else was even close to him in rank. And that was why he was a grandmaster, not because he was the founder of the system, but his years in doing it. So he was exclusively doing the Filipino martial arts for 50 plus years.
Actively and producing masters all over the place, et cetera, et cetera.
Spreading the art as a goodwill ambassador to the Philippines.
Across the world.
So, but in the art, and in the book it says that, and he was the only one because there would be only one.
Yep, it did say that.
Okay. So that's why I have a problem. I mean, that's my issue. It's not, I remember Anderson talked about an article. Well, in this one article in 1980 something or whatever, Remy put out that this, so I know what the art is supposed to be. And I'm like, well, he could have changed his mind. Okay. But if you're going to go with that mindset, here we go. This paragraph talks about the whole thing. And no one else has the time doing the art, dedicating, not even myself, as I haven't been doing this for 50 years.
And by the way, that thought process, that quote was actually in the original book and not changed in the republication that Remy oversaw. So the mindset, at least, let's span those 25 years.
Yeah. So it was 27 plus years at the time he wrote the book.
Yeah.
And that's what he actually wrote in there. And then we figured out it was at least 50 years.
52, I think we worked out.
52 years at the time that he released the second book.
Yep.
And at that time, there was nobody actively higher than 6th degree.
Yep.
because the Filipinos weren't ranked with us then. They got ranked in '99. It was after the book was done, and that was in preparation of starting a camp over there. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Hey, Chris.
So I think, Bambit was a 6th. I think Renee in '99, Bambit got his 6th. I think Riddell got his 7th or 8th.
I think that's right.
Yeah. Then let's see. Cristina Vasquez,
Sounds right.
7th. I think it was like 8th.
Yep.
And then Renee Tungsten, Jerry De La Cruz, they were like 7th or 8th. But that was all done in '99. And I think that was it was whatever.
But even those 8s, those weren't mentioned as Grandmaster.
No, not at all. And
so it fits yet again.
Yes. And and then when Remy died, who could have taken that opportunity and chose not to? Ernesto.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why when we look at these people being promoted by people, getting signatures from family members saying stuff, I'm like, I'm sorry, it just to me it's just nonsense. I think a lot of gamesmanship from certain people, and like I said,
what end?
I think Dieter and Kelly Warden check all the boxes on being grandmasters.
Mm-hmm.
No questions asked. But Kelly would be a grandmaster of NSI, Renegade JKD, and Wartech Combatives, and Dieter would be the grandmaster of DAV. No questions asked. As far as someone carrying the banner for Modern East, there's no one.
Well, the thing that gets me is the multiple grandmasters in Modern. I don't get it. And my simple question would be: is to what end? What is the need?
What purpose does it serve?
Exactly.
Especially when you see some of the other people who've received them.
Well, I'm not even putting any sort of value things. Just asking that question because the old model with one grandmaster and all sorts of masters inside that works just fine. So I'm trying to figure out what is the problem that's trying to be solved.
Well,
that's the question I always ask when somebody changed things.
Well, and
because Remy's was one model of one GM, and that was the model, and we talked about why that was. So why is it need changing right now? What is that doing? What is that helping?
So that's a good question. And my mindset. Well, it keeps always going back to the basic. What are you doing that qualifies you for that? And if you're gonna, like I said, there should only have been one. Remy didn't name one person over the others in the will.
Right.
His family members weren't in it.
Yep.
For inheriting the system.
Right, for Modern East, yep.
He named a bunch of us, and the bulk of were non-Filipino. Only 2 people had residency in the Philippines, and the other 2 were Americanized Filipinos, and they were lower ranked people as well. So they weren't the masters of Tappy Tappy. They weren't the Punong Gurus. They weren't the senior masters. They weren't the Datus. They were just second-degree black belts at the time.
Yep.
Because Remy wanted us all to pull together, and he didn't want to leave anybody out.
And you should note that not all second-degree black belts were in there. I mean, I was second-degree. I wasn't in there. I shouldn't have been in there. But my point is that there was a ton of multiple-degree black belts that were not in there.
Yeah. So, and like I said, we're not trying to, this is not trying to make fun of anyone. This is just, putting things in context.
Well, I'll make fun of me. That'll work. How's that?
Okay, go ahead and make fun of yourself.
Good. No, I'll always do that. That's a freebie.
There we go. Low-hanging fruit.
Exactly.
So,
Patrice's got it.
Okay. The only problem is internal insecurity of certain individuals, either politics, control, and ego. Yeah, well, yeah. Like I said, I have no problem. I personally, I think if we're going to talk about having someone as a modern Earnings Grandmaster, we don't have that person, and it would have to be the community would need to get behind that person, and
That'd be
it's not.
great.
Or no, if the community got behind a person, that would be one thing. Unfortunately, I see more.
It's a club at this point.
Well, if we're talking about organizations, at least amounting to anything, I don't think the IMF is really doing anything anymore. I don't know. How about what do you know about that?
I don't know anything more than that. I see bits and pieces now and then, but it's certainly not like it used to be, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I think part of it too is, they do. I don't think they have the same connectivity to social media as one would need to in the modern world to do that. So they're doing it the old way, and I don't think it's paying off.
Well, let me see. I'm just going to look at their website right now.
You
There's
can do
no
that.
events listed.
That's part of it. And when Remy was alive, we did have it in later '90s. We did have events listed.
Yeah. Let's see what
Lots.
they've got. 3 schools listed on the website total.
Really?
Yeah, they got Chuck Goss's school, which I don't even know if that. Well, I don't know how accurate it is because the school closed down.
Right. Spread got Mr. Kenny.
Ken's Ken's Smith, and then Josh Morey from Atlanta.
Right.
Gabrielle Roloff school's not even listed on there.
And Earls and Dr. Humes. And
yeah. So I mean,
weird.
That's
weird. I don't know. I can't speculate, but they're certainly not the presence they used to be. I can say that.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's hard to, and I find when I read Remy's will, and I see the part about this was his life work.
Yep.
It resonates with me because 1986, I was out of high school for 3 years and I committed to the craft as a career. And so that means I was 21 and now I'm turning 57 next month. Just like you.
And I'm way younger than you by a whole month, so you can let me know how it is to be that dang.
I'll let you know what it feels like.
All right.
But at the end of the day, I know our organization is doing things. We're expanding all the time, so that's good.
We're doing a couple things, yeah.
And you're doing seminars. I'm doing seminars. Chad's doing seminars. Sam's doing seminars. Craig's doing seminars, and now Craig's son is doing seminars. So we got 3rd generation black belts teaching seminars and their own programs.
Yep. Well, and the thing that blew my mind is I look back at just this year for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've already done 7 different location seminars, not just, and some of them were multiple times during a place. 7 this year. And I did that by the end of February.
And this isn't even your career.
No, I have a job. It's
this is your passion.
Yep.
And you're doing what it needs to be done to help grow the art.
Or I'm just doing it because I'm addicted and I can't help it and I love it.
Well, we can have an intervention maybe. I don't know.
There you go. Keeps me sane. Well, arguably keeps me sane.
Yeah. So, dang, you guys are hurting me with all this your youth and bragging about it.
Now, I haven't met him, but we already decided a while ago I like him, but I'll have to meet him.
Yeah, well, we'll have him on the show.
That's right. He was going to come on, wasn't
he? We would have to do something smart, like actually schedule it.
At midnight? There you go. So it looks like we're winding down, guys, and he stepped up real fast. Any, fire your last little questions, observations. There's been a lot of good chiming in. I think that people made some really, really good points. A couple of them were really mic dropping, nail on the head, as far as I'm concerned. So I appreciated that. I know it's a sensitive subject for folks, but this isn't. I don't think it's personal. I think it's trying to examine it for the rest of the community, right? So this stuff and how it means it's worthwhile to getting right and doing it right for the community, the style, the students. 68, awesome,
Yeah,
good deal.
All right, so I think we covered it all. What do you think?
I think so. I encouraged him to get some last little go backs, but alibis, but I haven't seen anything.
Okay. Named. What is a grandmaster? Named by. Okay, and here, Rich.
Inherited with skill, inherited with plans for skill in the future, depth, breadth.
Okay.
So he put, I think that's 4 little things.
Here we go. Oh, Bill, what's he got?
Good.
Cool.
Excellent.
All right. So, grandmaster, does it need? Okay, so what's the criteria? I would say one, or how to get it. Maybe you were named by the head of the system.
And in that case, you either had the skill already or you're developing it, with what Richard says.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. 2, like we're doing with now, the system broke apart. You have your own organization, and you move up as needed to help create room for the upcoming black belts, and you're developing. So once again, you're having multiple locations with you and stuff like that.
Taking an active, substantive lead.
Right. 3, the community itself acknowledges you, and the community could be the non-modern or non-martial. Okay, so let's say modern Arnis, we use that as an example. Maybe it's the karate, the taekwondo, the kung fu community looks at me or you or whatever, looks at all the things you're doing, and they say, "Hey, you're doing all the things a grandmaster should be. We acknowledge you as one, whether you have the titles or not." Well,
It's when they keep calling you it and they won't stop. That
yes,
tells
exactly. Exactly. You get that in the Philippines all the time, which is weird, but I think it's more to cover their ass, so I'd call it to them back.
There you go.
And then, do you have your martial grandchildren? Have you produced instructors below you, and have they done the same? And have they done or in the process of doing the same?
Mm-hmm.
Having those multiple locations beneath you, not like, hey, there's 4 schools in our chain.
Right.
I'm talking, do you have like 10, 15 schools that are working underneath you? Multiple states, multiple countries, fill in the blank. Mm-hmm. The other thing, what are you doing for the art? If you're fulfilling a lot of these criteria, the other one we talked about is, are you spreading the art? I mean, you need to be spreading the art as well, physically going out, getting it in new states, getting it in new countries.
Like the active face that has the goods.
Like Remy did, using him as the example. Like if the one person who would be a grandmaster that doesn't use the title, I think we can all say that Danny and Asano would be a perfect example of a grandmaster.
Yep.
But it's always Guru Dan.
Right.
Right. But he's doing exactly.
Well, we talked about Remy he had like so many of those boxes that it was kind of a no-brainer, right? He fulfilled so many roles as the face, as the motivator, as the personal, as the developer, as the
and
everything.
And the one thing that makes him stand out more than most people in the FMA community, he actually fought this stuff for real.
Yep.
I mean, the art itself was being taught to the guerrillas during World War II. I mean, that's when he started learning as a child. And he, like I said, the one bad thing about Remy is that his martial arts does not look good on his expression of martial arts. His personal expression is lacking on film because it's a feel. It's not a, like I said, I watched Guru and Asano. I saw him on film multiple times. I saw him in person. It's all the same. I knew exactly, there's no difference. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but he felt the way he looked.
What you see is what you get, and it's and it's good.
But Remy, man, he touches your hand, you feel it in your big toe.
That's right.
And I'm not talking ninja voodoo. Woo! I'm talking he hit you so hard your grandparents felt it.
But you could feel some really high level stuff with him too if you wanted to feel that. But yeah, he had it, and it was almost a shock.
And there was no difference between the two. So I think we called it. I think we got it all.
I think so, and no more Alabash, no more last minute ones came up. I don't think. Nope.
Okay. And okay, so listen, thanks for joining in, everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
And like I said, this week's show got all messed up. It's all on me. I don't know what the hell happened. Next week's show is going to be a fun one. The FMA invasion of the Martial Arts Symposium. So hopefully all 6 of us will be here in attendance for that. That'll be fun. We've never done one that large. That'd be great.
No, right.
So Steve Lefebvre, this Tye Botting guy, Dean Brenko, this jerk, R2 Datu here, and then Mike and May Williams. Hopefully we'll all be on the show next week.
We'll just have to make sure it smoothly, everybody gets a little thing to say, which would be good.
Yeah. And who knows? I might see if I can get Terry Dow on board.
That'd be cool. That'd be really good. He should. He's such a great event planner, promoter, person, and just a good guy.
Yeah, I'll see what I can put together on that, and then boom. It was a pleasure. Brief.
Yeah, thanks,
Patrice. Blessings with both of you. But for now, I have to make like a few. See, full contact personality.
Nice.
Hey, Pat, I'm going to be up in Cambridge on the 30th. By the way, the end of this month, over at Carl Outram's, and then looking forward to it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, everybody, please, as always, stay safe and stay sane. This is Datu Tim.
BG Tye. Take care, everyone.
Oh wait, we have one more. Do I have one more comment? Okay, he says. Pat says, okay. I didn't want to miss out on that. And catch you later.